was when the first ambulance came to pick me up. I had completely flatlined. So, I had no pulse. Also, I was totally motionless and paralyzed. The medical technician thought I had died and called my sign of death in front of me. I wanted to say I'm alive, but nothing came out. Shortly afterwards, I was worried about being buried alive.
This is the Recovery After Stroke podcast with Bill Gassiamis, helping you navigate recovery after stroke.
Bill from recoveryafterstroke.com. This is episode 133, and my guest today is Duncan Campling. Duncan experienced 2 brainstem strokes in March 2018, and when he regained consciousness, he was locked in, fearing he would be buried alive. According to the website rarediseases.info, locked-in syndrome is a rare neurological disorder characterized by complete paralysis of the voluntary muscles except for those that control the eyes. People with locked-in syndrome are conscious and can think and reason, but are unable to speak or move. Vertical eye movements and blinking can be used to communicate. Locked-in syndrome may be caused by a brainstem stroke, a traumatic brain injury, tumors, diseases of the circulatory system like bleeding, diseases that destroy the myelin sheath surrounding nerve cells like multiple sclerosis, infection, or medication overdose. Duncan is also living with dysarthria, which is a motor speech disorder in which the muscles that are used to produce speech are damaged, paralyzed, or weakened. The person with dysarthria cannot control their tongue or voice box, and Duncan will be speaking with me via an adapted iPad which uses text-to-voice software to allow him to communicate. His answers were pre-recorded to make the interview process much smoother. Now, if you have ever wondered what else I can do to help you with your stroke recovery, you should know that you can now get recovery after stroke coaching right from the comfort of your own home. I too am a 3-time stroke survivor, and I've built for you what I was missing when I was sent home from hospital in the hope that you don't have to do stroke recovery as tough as I did. Support packages give you access to a variety of tools 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can also work on other areas of stroke recovery, like adjusting to your new normal and even managing the grief you may be feeling for your former self. With tailored support available and designed for you, you can now try out Recovery After Stroke coaching free for the first 7 days and get a full refund if you aren't satisfied after 30 days. For more information, just send an email to bill@recoveryafterstroke.com. I answer all my emails personally. And now it's on with the show. Duncan Campling, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have been the most keen person to get on the podcast. Now, I've had a lot of keen people to get on the podcast. You have just skyrocketed right through. You are the keenest person.
Yeah.
I really get excited when somebody goes out of their way to be on the podcast and organizes everything, because it means that the podcast is valuable to them and that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to get stuck into it. First question that we prepared earlier was, tell me a little bit about what happened to you.
I had 2 brainstem strokes a week apart in March 2018. I'm 50 now, but I was 47 when they happened. I had a terrible headache. I called my manager at work to let him know I'm going to try and sleep it off, as I often worked from home. I next remember having an out-of-body experience. From the ceiling, I saw my wife giving me CPR on my bed. My condition was eventually diagnosed as locked-in syndrome. Mine is from strokes, but you can acquire locked-in syndrome from other things, like ALS. I'm partially recovered, but I still have a lot of progress to be made. Locked-in syndrome is where you are completely paralyzed, but 100% cognitive. I can now move all 4 limbs, but they are very weak, especially my legs. That's why I move around in a powered wheelchair. Locked-in syndrome is so rare, there's very little research done on it, because it would only aid a small population. I'm often one of a few people with locked-in syndrome a medical professional may encounter in their career. As you know, strokes are often caused by blood clots or blocked arteries, but according to multiple CT and MRI scans, my strokes were caused by a thin artery in my brain stem. I also have the condition dysarthria. My vocal cords were unscathed from my strokes, but the muscles used for speech in my face and throat are very weak. People sometimes wrongly assume I'm mentally challenged because I have issues forming words. Sorry if my electronic speech is disjointed and lacks enthusiasm. I drink liquids thickened with cornstarch, as I still currently have swallowing issues. Shortly after my strokes, I took liquid food directly pumped into a tube inserted into my stomach. Now I can orally eat most foods, including my favorite, Indian food. I'm currently using an adapted Apple iPad with a speech synthesizer to communicate with you. I also use it to surf the web and post daily on Instagram.
Yeah, you do post daily. You're all over my Instagram feed. I can't get you off.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. That I'm not
Yeah.
telling you to get off. That's a good thing. It's interesting how I hear this voice and I see you, and even though I never heard you speak before and I don't know you, I still see that voice, and I'm thinking that's too English for you. Would you agree?
No.
No, that's English. That's a good English for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Awesome. 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 Um, how bizarre would it have been for you to have to experience seeing your wife floating above you when you were having CPR to try and save your life, when they were trying to resuscitate you? Yeah, very bizarre and strange. And did she come to you like an angel, or was she just your wife, sitting around going, no, snap out of it?
Life.
Just your wife sitting there yelling at you, telling you off, the usual routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. All right, question 2. How has brain injury affected others in your life?
I live in a nursing home about 10 miles from my 2 sons. Obviously, I'm unable to work and provide for my family. However, the biggest effect to other people is not being able to provide life advice in person to my preteen kids and not being there to shape their future.
Yeah, man. That really touches me because when I was going through my own stroke recovery, one of the first things I realized was that my boys, as teenagers, they might lose their dad because it got that serious. And because I had time in between bleed 1 and bleed 2 and then bleed 3, which for me happened over about 3 years, I spent a lot of time being making up for those things that I feel like I hadn't done properly or hadn't done enough of. And that most of that stuff was me apologizing and saying sorry for being an idiot dad, or for not understanding you, or for yelling and screaming at you when I had not enough resources to express myself properly, and I just resorted to being a caveman.
Yeah.
Does the iPad support you in at least beginning some of those conversations and having some of those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Is that a sense of relief for you? Is it something that you want to uh, continue doing, I imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good, man. Awesome. I'm so glad. Isn't it fabulous that iPads exist? Isn't it fabulous that you and I can connect on the other side of the planet with this machine? And even though your vocal cords are not working properly and your muscles are not working properly, we're still having a proper conversation.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, man. All right. Question 3. Why is it important for you to share your stroke journey?
To give some motivation to other stroke survivors and hopefully give them some energy when necessary. I'm not competing who's had the worst stroke journey, but daily life is often bleak for me. Telling my story also serves as a great workout motivation exercise and is a huge mental release for me.
Yeah. So you explained that your life is bleak. Is that something that you feel it's bleak all the time or just sometimes? Sometimes. So there are days and moments in the day which are not bleak, are the opposite of bleak.
Yeah.
Is talking to me the opposite of bleak?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. I hope so. All right. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Next question. What do you miss the most about the old you?
It saddens me to know my old life is not waiting for me. I was, understandably, terminated a week after my first stroke, as I was, by choice, an independent contractor. Also, I'm a 35-year electric guitarist, but only as a hobby. Playing the guitar post-strokes has not been possible for me, as my fine motor skills are still weak and my hands feel very tight. To my horror, my house was sold 10 months ago. My retirement savings were liquidated early and spent. However, I miss most not living under the same roof as my wife and boys. That and having a nice cold Coke on a hot day.
A nice cold Coke, hey? Are you not allowed to have a nice cold Coke anymore? Sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So your home was sold without your consent while you were out of action, completely gone, in that time, or was it sold at a time where you were not involved in the conversation?
My consent.
You did give consent.
Yeah.
Okay. But still difficult and horrible situation.
Yeah.
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 Have you had any other medical complications following your stroke?
Online, I appear perfectly normal, but in real life, I am quite disabled. To answer your question, I was hospitalized about 2 years ago for pneumonia and separately for a gallbladder infection, which led to sepsis, but nothing directly related to my strokes. Also, not that they're serious complications, but post-strokes, I'm super sensitive to sharp sounds and low temperatures.
Yeah, I can relate to sharp sounds and low temperatures. Sounds are one of those things that kind of makes my brain hurt, and temperatures are annoying because my left side is colder than my right side, and it's always really challenging. Before I knew about stroke, before it happened to me, when I saw somebody in a wheelchair, I just assumed that they couldn't walk or move their hands. I never assumed that there was additional issues that they had to deal with that I couldn't see. I never for one moment thought that people who are sitting in a wheelchair are just not able to walk. I never understood that not being able to walk is a serious complication and it causes its own complications as well. Hopefully, what this interview will do for people is create the opportunity for people to have more awareness that people that are in need of being in a wheelchair or an electric motorized wheelchair have other complicated needs as well. And we might not be able to see them, but we need to know that it's not just what you're seeing. It's not just somebody sitting down in a chair. How are you managing your mindset to keep positive during the hard times?
I try to focus myself on making small gains, hoping that one day these minor gains will accumulate to more significant advancements like walking and effectively talking. I also deliberately distract myself with music and Netflix.
Huh.
Like everybody.
Yeah.
What's your favorite band? AC/DC. That's my favorite band. Okay, what's your favorite album?
If you've had a stroke and you're in recovery, you'll know what a scary and confusing time it can be. You're likely to have a lot of questions going through your mind. Like, how long will it take to recover? Will I actually recover? What things should I avoid in case I make matters worse? Doctors will explain things, but obviously you've never had a stroke before. You probably don't know what questions to ask. If this is you, you may be missing out on doing things that could help speed up your recovery. If you're finding yourself in that situation, stop worrying and head to recoveryafterstroke.com, where you can download a guide that will help you. It's called 7 Questions to Ask Your Doctor About Your Stroke. These 7 questions are the ones Bill wished he'd asked when he was recovering from a stroke. They'll not only help you better understand your condition, they'll help you take a more active role in your recovery. Head to the website now, recoveryafterstroke.com, and download the guide. It's free.
Powerage.
Powerage. Nice. Old school. Somebody that appreciates the back catalogue. I love it. Well done. I love Powerage too. They were one of my favorite bands growing up, and I've been to the Melbourne concerts probably 5 times or something like that. Amazing show.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of your journey so far?
One of my biggest shocks was when I realized my multiple medications wouldn't repair me and were designed to manage pain and anxiety. However, the hardest part of my journey was when the first ambulance came to pick me up. I had completely flatlined. So I had no pulse. Also, I was totally motionless and paralyzed. The medical technician thought I had died and called my sign of death in front of me. I wanted to say I'm alive, but nothing came out. Shortly afterwards, I was worried about being buried alive. Also, for the first 3 months, I was totally detached from reality and partially detached for 18 months. Pointing to letters on a piece of paper, I told my wife I created U2's sound, and I co-wrote Sweet Home Alabama, even though I was 4 when it was written. I remember telling her all my royalties were directed to an untraceable Swiss bank account and not to worry, as we'll never want for anything. I'm still amazed I actually believe that. Also, I thought one of my therapists was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. My biggest accomplishment was about 1 year ago when I could lean forward in my wheelchair. It allowed me to lean over a sink and brush my teeth. My old dentist would be proud of me.
That is hilarious. You thought you were the person who co-wrote Sweet Home Alabama, a band called Lynyrd Skynyrd. And Shaggy from Scooby-Doo was involved in your life. There must have been some serious drugs you were on, man. I love it. That's hilarious. I had a friend of mine who has also had a serious stroke many, many years ago. And when he was recovering in hospital, his friends and his wife would read him the front page of the newspaper. And at that time, unfortunately, in Melbourne, there was a big mob war happening, and there was a lot of people getting killed on a daily basis. And he thought that he was one of the people that was involved with the main mobster, and that their job, was to run this war or be a part of this war. And he would tell his friends, like you were telling your family, he would tell them that, yeah, he was with this particular boss, and they were, running these scams, and they were doing these things. And he had been in hospital for 6 months. He hadn't gone anywhere. It's so funny to hear that side of stroke and that side of what the brain does to, I'm not sure, to amuse itself, or what does it do? Who knows? Yeah. What has stroke taught you that you didn't expect?
I assumed I was invincible before my strokes. I now appreciate being really healthy, not that I was unhealthy before. I also limit my screen time and try to keep my mind healthy with word games, etc. I'm now on level 1890 of Wordscapes.
Okay. So you're trying to limit your screen time. Are you having any success? Sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah, I know what that's like. So do you still feel that you are healthy, even though you've got all these challenges that are related to the stroke, all these extra little bits and pieces that are there?
Yeah.
How has the stroke impacted your feelings and emotions?
I have all my thoughts and memories pre and post strokes, but my emotions are much more erratic now. For example, I sometimes laugh and cry at the same time. I assumed I'm losing it, but apparently it's a common side effect of strokes.
Yeah, me too. I used to do that too. It's funny, the emotions, they come on really dramatically and then they go. So in the beginning, my wife couldn't really deal with it because I would watch a movie and cry at something cute like a cat or something, and I didn't know how to tell her that I'm not sure why I'm crying, I'm just crying. So a lot of stroke survivors struggle with that, especially, it seems to me, men seem to struggle with that more because we've always been told not to cry, and we've always been told to be tough and to get over it. So it's interesting that it's a difficult thing for people to handle, but it does get better. I've found that it does get better, but sometimes it's still there, kind of just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You have a similar experience? It's slowly getting better?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. How does intimacy play a role in your life these days?
For me, all relationships have obviously been restricted to online contact during the pandemic. Also, I have strained a few friendships post-strokes, but I always reach out to remind them I'm still here. However, I remain positive about the future.
Yeah. COVID complicated stroke recovery for so many people. It completely changed their ability to continue to see people and get out and about and grow their networks or still continue to hold on to their networks. And that's a big issue. So your friendships with your friends have become a little distant, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a common thing. It's something that I went through as well, and I went through the the stroke in times where there was no COVID, and still people became distant because they didn't know how to be around me and how to catch up with me and how to what to talk about and what to say and what to do.
Huh.
So it's more about them than it was about me. So
Yeah.
it's about their, or maybe I'm not sure, Duncan, if the right word is their lack of um, uh, frames or references for how to act around people who are unwell. Yeah, it's very common. Next question. What help do you receive at home for things like showering and toileting?
I currently require considerable assistance for both. Although I try to be as independent as possible and brush my teeth with an electric toothbrush and partially shave with a beard trimmer similar to hair clippers. My father, who lives in England, also had a stroke last year, but he's currently able to move from his bed to a wheelchair unassisted. So I assume he's able to transfer from his wheelchair to a toilet seat unassisted too. I hope to be that mobile one day.
Yeah, that's a good thing to aim for, man. That is an awesome thing to aim for. Your dad had a stroke as well.
Yeah.
Same kind of stroke?
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh.
Okay, that's interesting. All right. Next question. What is the best thing that has come from your stroke experience?
The best thing is probably having more time to connect with friends. Although COVID-19 has limited that to Instagram and email, I like sharing with my friends my mildly entertaining posts and messages.
Huh.
Yeah, mildly entertaining. That's a good description. Uh, no, I do enjoy. Our interaction on Instagram. Uh, Obviously, when this conversation goes live, what I'm going to do is put all the links to your Instagram so that people can jump on board and connect with you as well, because we ask some serious questions on Instagram, and people um, do interact, and we have really big, insightful conversations. And I think they're a great place for stroke survivors who are listening to come to get a little bit of extra motivation, perhaps, or a little bit of extra understanding and feeling a little bit more normal.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Next question. How has COVID interfered with your recovery? I know we briefly touched it and had a conversation about that.
As I live in a US nursing home under strict quarantine conditions, all external therapy has been, unfortunately, halted for me until the scare over the virus has subsided. Internal therapy is also on pause, but that is for medical insurance reasons. In my experience, Therapy dramatically diminishes after 1 year, and next month will be my 3-year stroke anniversary. I'm my own therapist. Obviously, I have no training, but I have an idea of good form. Apart from video communication, I've only seen my wife and kids twice since COVID-19 began, and I haven't left this building since March of last year. I know the pandemic has impacted everyone, but I've only been allowed to leave my room about 10 times.
So you've only been allowed to leave the room 10 times to go outside and experience fresh air? No.
Inside the building.
Wow. Yeah. That would be tough, but obviously it makes sense to try and keep you guys safe, yeah? We want to make sure that it would keep you safe. I get it. Thank you for going to all the trouble and being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your excellent interview technique and, of course, your time. I really appreciate it. I'll say,
My. My.
Hey, you're welcome. You know what? You know what? How did you know I was going to be an excellent interviewer? You're so polite, man. Hey, goodbye to you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Discover how to heal your brain after stroke. Go to recoveryafterstroke.com. Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gassiamas. The content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.